Hello everyone. In this video I'm providing an overview of my internal certificate authority setup. For this purpose I created 5 virtual machines, of which 2 are configured for Proxmox high availability. 2 of the VMs serve as actual certificate authority server, namely B100U005, which is my root certificate authority, and B100U006, my intermediate certificate authority. U005 usually only exists as a Proxmox template and is currently not running. That's because the root CA is only used to sign intermediate certificate authorities. That's a rare operation. For better security, the root CA is fully encrypted at rest and is converted to a template. It gets cloned and started in case it needs to sign a CA certificate or once every couple of months to apply patches and upgrades. At that time it will receive new encryption keys and will be once again converted to a new template. The old template will be destroyed. I will demonstrate this process later in the video and will cover the configuration at that time. U006 has almost the identical configuration as U005. Same folder structure and same OpenSSL toolchain, with minor differences in some sections of the configuration file because of its role as an intermediate CA. Let's take a closer look at U006. I am using OpenSSL for certificate management, and because of the tight permissions of these folders here, I need to prepend every command that is accessing the folders with sudo -u ssl_ca_admin. To speed up the process, I created a couple of aliases and bash functions. The administrative user here is called ssl_ca_admin. It is defined as a system user without interactive login capabilities. There's a standard folder structure in place. As you can see, the folder permissions are very tightly controlled. Folder certs for issued certificates, CSR for signing requests, private for the private key, and a simple database with index.txt and serial. All of the folders are owned by SSL-CA admin, with strict access control on the folders and the respective files. The core configuration file is openssl.conf. This file defines details for the certificate authority, like location, organization, and CA behavior. In this case, the CA is based in Basel, Switzerland, under the organization HC Infotech LLC. And I almost forgot to mention, but of course U006 uses Proxmox high availability failover. This CA is responsible for signing certificates for internal services and domains. For security considerations, It is absolutely critical that the certificate authority servers are hardened and that access is extremely limited and well audited. A compromised CA key would undermine trust across your entire environment. Here is how I secured mine and how it can be improved for production environments. The CA servers are fully encrypted at rest. While already covered earlier, U005 only exists as a fully encrypted template without automatic unlocking. Its encryption keys would be stored in a different key vault with even tighter access control than the rest of the encryption keys. U006 is unlocked automatic at startup using Mandos. Several decryption keys are provided to senior system administrators in case manual intervention becomes necessary. Right now, all those keys are stored in a double encrypted KeyPass database. For a production multi-user environment, these keys should be migrated to a centralized secrets management system. I plan to implement in physical, but options like HashiCorp Vault or AWS KMS would also be suitable. All private keys are encrypted with strong unique passphrases. These are also stored securely and should never be hard-coded into any system. The CA private keys are owned by system account named SSL CA admin with interactive logins disabled. These key files are stored in strictly permissioned directories, accessible only by the SSL CA admin user. Access to the keys is restricted to the OpenSSL binary only. Even CA administrators must access them indirectly via sudo to SSL CA admin and then run OpenSSL command. This ensures the key material never leaves the OpenSSL process and is never visible to a shell or administrator. In the future, this can be further hardened by wrapping key access within a hardware-backed hardware security module, HSM, or a software-based PKCS11 module. To separate users from the CA systems, I use a staging server B100 CA Web 1, which acts as a trusted intermediary. This server is configured with Proxmox high availability. Users who need certificates signed will transfer their CSRs to the staging server. Users not in one of the admin groups as defined in LDAP are only allowed to transfer files and are not able to get an interactive shell. This is controlled with rules in etc/rush.rc. SSSD is overriding the default shell of all the users with override shell equals user sbin rush. And the rule in etc/rush.rc is setting the shell back to user bin bash for administrators. Everyone else is denied interactive access. A pull-only async job on U006 retrieves incoming CSRs. Once certificates are signed, a separate push-only async job moves them back to the staging server, where end users can pick them up. At no point do users need direct access to either CA server. B100 CA Web 1 in unison with BA100 CA Web 2 and BA100 CA Web 3 are serving as OCSP, Online Certificate Status Protocol service, provided by OpenSSL. and as CRL, a Certificate Revocation List service provided by Nginx. All three servers are configured identical in that regard, and I'm only showing the configuration of CA Web 1. These servers are load balanced using HA proxy and are configured with virtual IPs with failover capability to provide high availability. The index text file required for OCSP and the hcinfotech.crl.pem file, signed CRL, are pushed by rsync job periodically from U006 to these servers. There is no reverse access from these servers back to U006 configured. Additionally, the following security best practices are in place or planned. The servers will be further hardened using SE Linux. Snapshot backups are encrypted, as the VMs themselves are encrypted at rest. All CA actions are logged and critical files are checked. Now let's move on to the demo. I'm using two fictitious users, both authorized through group memberships in the OpenLDAP structure, and both authenticated using Kerberos tickets. The first user, John Herbert, with username jherber1, is a developer working in finance. He has access and is working on server B100 UTMP2, which is a finance server. Based on his roles, he is authorized to copy certificate signing requests to staging server B100 CA Web 1 and to retrieve signed certificates from the same. Though he should not be allowed to get interactive access to this server. The second user in this demo is Claudia Brehm with username cbrehm1. Claudia Brehm is an administrator with special responsibility of managing the certificate authority. Because she is in group SSL CA admin and has the pseudo roles SSL CA admin and SSL CA web admin, she has all the necessary access on both CA servers and on all three staging servers to sign certificates, revoke certificates, change OpenSSL configuration, maintain SSL CA admin cron tab, and maintain Nginx and OCSP servers on the staging server. Today, John Herbert has the task to create a new SSL key with signed certificate on B100 UTemp2. First, let's validate that he can't get an interactive login to CA Web 1. First, he creates an SSL directory and CDs into it. From here, he will generate a new private key and a certificate signing request or CSR. Here's the OpenSSL command I use to generate the key and CSR. This will create a wildcard certificate for my domain. Once that's done, he copies the CSR to the staging server B100 CA Web 1. From there, the rsync process picks up new CSR every 2 minutes and transfers them to the intermediate CA. There would be a notification process in place to notify Claudia that the new CSR waits to be signed. She is logged in on the intermediate CA and uses OpenSSL to sign the request using sudo to SSL CA admin so that she has access to the private key. Because Claudia is familiar with Bash and she will be repeating this task a lot, she has created the corresponding Bash aliases. The CA is configured to issue certificates valid for 720 days, just under 2 years. When she signs the CSR, she is prompted for the intermediate CA passphrase. After confirming the request details, the certificate is signed and added to the CA's certificate database. Every 2 minutes, the async job picks up newly signed certificates and copies them to the staging server. John would be notified by a yet-to-be-created notification process that the signed certificate is available. He will use SCP to transfer the signed certificate to B100 UTemp2. He also downloads the intermediate CA certificate and the root CA certificate. Next, he validates the certificate using OCSP. The OCSP URL is embedded directly in the certificate. In this case, it points to the load-balanced staging service on port 8081. If all is well, OpenSSL reports that the certificate is good. Finally, let's look at revoking a certificate. Back on the intermediate CA, Claudia notices that there is an issue with the certificate and runs the revocation command. Enters the passphrase and the certificate is marked as revoked in the database. She creates a new CRL as well by executing the gen-CRL command. The async process will transfer the new index.txt file and the new CRL within 2 minutes and make them available for online consumption. If John checks now, the certificate shows the status revoked. And that's the complete workflow. Let me demonstrate the process required to create new intermediate CA certificates or to patch U005. There is a template with ID 10,000 on Proxmox node PRX SRv3. I am cloning the template to a new VM with ID 10,001. I am pausing here to wait for the clone to complete. This takes a couple of minutes. The clone completed and I have a new VM B100 U005 with all the configuration in place currently shut down. I am starting it now and after a couple of seconds I am getting prompted for an encryption key to decrypt the root disk. I am using a stored encryption key out of my KeyPass database, but this would most likely come from a vault in a production environment. I am pausing here again to let the VM start. Okay, we are back with a running VM. As you can see, there is an almost identical directory structure like on U006. There are minor differences in the OpenSSL.conf file. When we check index.txt, we can see that so far the CA only signed 2 certificates, intermediate.ca.cert and oscp.cert.pem. Now, after the maintenance or the signing of a new certificate is complete, the system administrator creates new encryption keys using crypt setup. He removes the old key with lux kill slot. I'm pausing here once again to finish the process by adding an additional 3 keys. So now the VM has new encryption keys and it has been replicated to PRX SRv2 and PRX SRv4. It will now be shut down and converted to a new Proxmox template, and the old template will be removed. To summarize, the root CA U005 is kept offline and only signs intermediates. The intermediate CA U006 handles all routine certificate operations. OCSP is used for real-time certificate validation. The entire system runs on OpenSSL with standard file structures. In a future video, I'll go deeper into OpenSSL configuration, including how I built the OpenSSL conf file, how to secure the servers with Rush, and set up OCSP services. That's it for my internal certificate authority setup. Keep your keys safe, your configs tight, and your audits thorough. Thanks for watching.